Well, as you know, since the July, the 27th, 25th, and 27th of July of 2007, I had warned that we are headed into a general breakdown crisis of the world financial monetary system and the economic system. 3 days later, after that announcement, the beginning of the breakup of the world monetary financial system occurred. It occurred in the form of the dropping out of the mortgage market in the United States. That's the home mortgage market. And this spread. You know that the world economy is governed presently by a global triple curve function. Forget all the forecasts by the Wall Street crowd, the statisticians. They're all incompetent, and they're always wrong. They have always been wrong and will be wrong because they use a wrong method. They use statistical forecasting based on accounting characteristics, and that does not determine the way economies function. Economies are based on three today, and in European civilization off and on, largely for several thousand years. What we are experiencing now in the world, especially in Western and Central Europe and in North America, what we are experiencing is a general breakdown crisis on a global scale, which is a virtual copy, but on a global scale, which occurred on a national scale in 1923 Germany. Now that means there never was and there never will be an economic recovery of the United States under the Obama administration. The Obama administration is doomed to an early general breakdown crisis of the U.S. economy. And a similar condition exists in Western and Central Europe. And the situation in Western and Central Europe for the moment is hopeless because it's under a dictatorship. It's under a British dictatorship. And they have so far submitted to that British dictatorship. So don't ask yourself what the prospects for the U.S. economy are. Don't ask your Wall Street stockbroker. Don't ask your wise man here or there, or your weatherman. Don't ask him. He doesn't know. I do. This present world system, and immediately the U.S. economy is doomed to an inevitable early total collapse unless we change the policy now. There's no way that the U.S. economy will continue to exist much longer under President Obama. President Obama is the name of doom. He's like a floating balloon with a face painted on it and draperies in the form of trousers and coat. And to keep the balloon from floating away, he has shoes which sit on the floor. But this guy is not of any use in the economy. He's a puppet. He's a puppet of foreign interest. But the key thing here is, under the Obama administration, there is no chance for the continued existence of the U.S. economy or even the U.S. nation. When we're talking about something already in motion, not something that might happen, it's something which is already happening. And it's increasing day by day. Under Obama and his present policy, there will never be a recovery or even a survival of the United States. That's a fact. That's not a guess. That's not a crystal ball picture. That's not a statistical forecast. That is already a fact. You have a zooming rate of bailout money. Bailout money is entirely monetary aggregate. Hyperinflationary bailout. You have, since the summer of 2007, you have an escalating rate of collapse of the real economy in the United States. The things which, goods which, and services for which things are bought and sold. And the ratio, all our basic industry has been wiped out. The auto industry, all the kinds of industries related to that are being wiped out. Food supply is being wiped out by international food systems, food control systems, cartels. The United States has been in a process of disintegration over this time. This actually goes back to 1964, 66, 68, that period. The assassination of John F. Kennedy as president resulted in a change in fundamental direction in U.S. policy. As usual, as today in Afghanistan, the way the United States is broken usually is by getting involved in some needless, useless war. Kennedy, as president, opposed going into a war in Indochina. He did this with very great care in shaping his policy, under the advice of General Douglas MacArthur and General Dwight Eisenhower, the former president. They agreed with him that no more long land wars in Asia for the United States. And since, well, what happened, of course, is they got the war by killing Kennedy and having the Warren Commission covered up. But it was not some poor idiot that did that. It was three other guys from France by way of Mexico who walked in, shot the president, walked out, and the Warren Commission covered it up. But what they got that way, by killing Kennedy and covering it up the way they did, what they did is they got the land war in Asia from 1964 to 1975. With the 68ers, which rendered a cultural change in the United States, the 68er generation, the baby boomers so-called, like the spoiled children from Columbia University and similar places, they destroyed the economy. They introduced this post-industrial society. That was their tick. And these factors came together, so we have been decaying as a nation, as an economy, since 1966, 1968, in the effects of the shutdown following the assassination of Kennedy and the launching of the war in Indochina. And since that time, we've been involved in other wars, other unnecessary wars. No war fought by the United States during this entire period since the death of Kennedy has been necessary. Every war has been essentially a fraudulent war conducted by the United States. And people are talking about, well, maybe there's going to be a recovery of the economy. Can a dead man recover? That's what we've got. So the question of forecasting, forget it. Anyone who told you that there's any sign of recovery in the U.S. economy is either an idiot or a liar. Any newspaper that says there's been a recovery is a lying newspaper or just a plain idiot. There is no prospect of a recovery of the United States under President Obama. Under President Obama, the United States is doomed. Even if we remove that mustache from his upper lip. It's a fact. I mean, this man has got a Hitler type of policy. His policy is identical with his EMAC proposal, which is the integral part of his program, which is he votes for, he supports for, he's fighting for. He's blackmailing to try to get it through. The EMAC program is a Hitler program. That's no exaggeration. It's a program which was given to him by his protege, or his protector, Tony Blair, who first introduced this Hitler-like program in England when Blair was Prime Minister. And Blair's program of Hitler-like genocide against people through manipulation of health care is the policy of the Obama administration. That's what the health care program is. There's no other reason for it. It's mass murder, and it's Adolf Hitler. That mustache stays on this president's upper lip. It belongs there. He put it there by adopting the Blair policy of genocide, which is specified. And people say, no, he's a good man, he's a Democrat. What are they, idiots? This man's a killer. And the only way we got a problem with this guy because he